Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how you can edit this portrait step by step using my actions. As you can see, I just have opened this raw file in Camera Raw, and as you can see we have the basics here, so I'm going to make some changes here and make this open. I think that I'm gonna put highlights a little bit down and shadows a little bit down. For the whites, I think that I'm gonna leave as it is, and I'm gonna make the blacks something like 5, I guess, and I will zoom in. As you can see, we have some gray texture, but I think that I will add more here in the texture section, and I think 6 is enough. And I think we are done with the basics. I'm just gonna open the calibration and make some changes here. I'm gonna make this portrait look more into orange, something like that. I'm just gonna leave this 0, and I will make some changes here by -2, and I will click open. As you can see, now we have the portrait, but I'm gonna put the SOOC file here on top. So I do this by this method. I just delete the XMP file and I drag and drop this into Photoshop, and I open this raw file as it is. So this is the SOOC file, which means the straight out of camera. So it's an original file, and this is more like our backup. So I'm gonna start working with my actions. Don't forget to check all the links down below, because there you can find my actions, my color grading actions, etc, etc. So if you have downloaded my actions, you have to go to Windows and click on Actions. Here you have the Retouching Action Full Pack and Makeup Artist Retouching Actions, so we are going to use both of them. But I'm going to start with the Retouching Action Full Pack. So first thing first, as you can see, this portrait needs a little bit of clean. And not that the face is not that clean, because this portrait is looking really good. And a huge thanks to the photographer who made this amazing portrait. So I'm just gonna start cleaning this one. Click on clean and click play. As you can see, we have two different layers. One of them is clean and one of them is black and white. So we're gonna work on the clean layer, and the black and white is here to help us in some details that we can see because of the brightness of the portrait. So for cleaning, I'm gonna use 3 different tools. One of them is spot healing brush, the second is healing brush, and the patch tool. As you can see, I made the shortcuts with J, K, and L keyboard, so I can easily switch between these 3 tools. So I'm just gonna start with the spot healing brush tool. After I click it, I will zoom a little and I will start cleaning this portrait. So for this part, I'm just gonna speed up this process because it's only cleaning and there is nothing else. So I'm just gonna speed up and see you guys in a few seconds. And as you can see, I have just made the path with a pen tool, and I will create a selection with feather radius by 3. And I will use a mixer brush for cleaning this part of the hair. So with a mixer brush with wet by 100 and flow 100, I will just sliding this into right by removing all the messy hair around the. As you can see, this is a great technique for hair retouch when the backdrop or the background is solid, as you can see, but we have full black. And here we are before and after. As you can see, we have cleaned the hair and the face. So I'm just gonna merge these 2 layers into one by holding Control keyboard and right click, merge layers. I will just delete this one. And now it's time for some liquify. So I'm just gonna go to filter and liquify, because this portrait needs a little bit of changes. And I will just make some changes here by making this look better. By the way, for retouching, I'm using Document Tools Pro S, and I'm not using a mouse because with a pen tablet you can work faster and your workflow will be so much easier, as you can see with the changes I made with the Liquify. I think it's looking good. Nice time for frequency separation. So I'm just gonna go click FS plus, and for choosing the right radius you have to go by 0.1, and you have to zoom in into the face, or when you have harsh texture or the some nice texture, for example, and you're gonna start sliding this radius into the right until some texture disappears. And I think 10 would be enough, so I'm just gonna go by 10, click OK. And here we have the frequency separation group, so I'm just gonna click here by opening the group, and as you can see we have two different layers. One of them is low frequency and the high frequency. Low frequency is the color and the high frequency is the texture. So for the moment I'm just gonna turn off the texture or the high frequency, and I will start working here on the low frequency, which is the color. For this part I'm gonna use mixer brush. So for the settings I'm going by wet of 12, load by 25, mix 45, flow by 33, and this one leave it 2. And don't forget that sample all layers is not checked. So I'm just gonna zoom in here in that forehead, and I will start working here with the mixer brush, as I said. And this one is for mixing the skin tones. This is a great technique if you are retouching portraits. You can choose two different techniques, but in this video tutorial I'm going to show you the technique of frequency separation and the technique of dodge and burn, so I mix them both. There are people out there that are using only dodge and burn, and that's totally okay, but for my opinion I use both of them, the frequency and the dodge and burn, because when you mix both of them you have great results. And this is a fact, because if you're using mixer brush in the low frequency or in the frequency separation technique in the best way as possible, you will have great results by the ending, so don't forget this. And as I said, you can find my actions link is in the description, sorry. And don't forget to leave some comments down below about my retouching, if I am understandable, if I am good enough for teaching, and don't forget to leave some comments down below about my English, if I am understandable or not, because this is the best way to communicate with you guys. Just please let me know if I am understandable, because English is not my first language or my primary language, it's my second. So just let me know if I am understandable, and that's it. Here we are with some changes here on the frequency separation. As you can see, we have just removed the shadows under the eyes, and I think it's turning into something really nice. You can find this raw file in my Telegram channel. Don't forget to check the link down below. If you want to follow my step-by-step process in this video tutorial, you have to go to Telegram channel, get this raw file, open in Camera Raw, and start working with me by step. So you can't miss a step, and you will be really good at retouching, because I get a lot of DMs nowadays, because people are telling me that I am really good at retouching, and people are learning a lot from me, and they are doing really nice. And I had some DMs, and when I asked for the raw files that I have created, in YouTube. They are really good at retouching, and they said they have learned a lot from me, and they are even better than me. So stick to the end, because this video tutorial is for you if you want to learn retouching. Let's just check a before and after, and I think is looking really nice so far, because as you can see we have removed some shadows here and there, and now it's time for the high frequency or the texture. So I'm just gonna make a black and white help layer where I can see the details even better. And for the process of cleaning the high frequency, I'm using a clone stamp tool. I hold and click Alt keyboard by copy paste the texture. So be careful on this process, because you don't want to copy paste texture from, for example, if you copy here and you paste it here, as you can see, you will make some bad changes. So be careful that you have to copy paste as close as possible. And this process is gonna be only cleaning here on the face. So I'm just gonna speed up this process and see you guys in a few seconds. And here we are after we have done some cleaning in high frequency. As you can see, we have some changes here on the texture, and I think that we want to recover this by creating some digital skin texture. As you can see, we have the action here, and with a white brush and 100%, I'm just gonna paint it here where I have smoothened the texture by adding some digital skin texture here, and I will lower this opacity by 33. Now zoom in, check a before and after, and I think 33 is not good enough, so I'm just gonna go by 45, something like that, and I think it's looking good. And as you can see, before and after all this entire process of frequency separation. Now I'm just gonna create another copy of this low frequency copy by drag and drop here and turn off the high frequency, and I will make this part of the hair kind of black with a burn tool and by 10% and range on the midtones. I'm just gonna make this part a little bit darker, because I want to reduce the skin in the head. Now let's just check a before and after, and as you can see, this one is too much, obviously, so I'm just gonna lower this by 32, and I think 32 is good enough. Now check a before and after, and yeah, I think it's looking good so far. As you can see, we have some details that we have to work on the high frequency, so I'm just gonna copy a color here. I'm just gonna create another empty layer here, and I will copy the color of the hair. I think something like this. Sorry, it's not copying the color, I don't know why, but I'm just gonna copy the color here, I guess. And yeah, it's kind of brown, something like that, into dark. Let's just try. It's totally black. I'm just gonna zoom in, and not point sample, but I will go by 5x5 average. So I'm just gonna copy the color around, and I think this brown is good enough. Yeah, I think it's okay. Click on the frequency separation, click here on this empty layer and make this into multiply, and start painting here by removing this kind of process that we have done, and lower this by 22, I would say. Now let's just check a before and after. Yeah, 22 is kind of too much, so I'm just gonna lower this by 12, and I think we are good to go. Now check a before and after, and I think that we are done with the frequency separation. Now it's time for the dodge and burn, so I'm just gonna click on dodge, and in the burn click play and turn on the black and white help layer. open this black and white help layer and turn off something. If for example, you can leave it only on the black and white, you can leave it with plus or the darken, and you can check the contrast. I'm just gonna turn off the contrast and start working into the dodge. So for the dodge, I'm gonna use a 10% brush and flow by 100%, and I will make some highlights. As you can see, check a before and after, and let's just check if something is happening. And yes, 10% is obviously kind of a low brush, so I'm just gonna raise it up to 20%. So I'm just gonna paint it here and there when we wanna add some highlights. And as you can see, when we create some dodge here, as you can see, we are just removing some color because the dodge contains the desaturate. So I'm just gonna turn off this, and let's just check a before and after of the dodge. Yeah, I think it's looking good so far. So keep creating some more. I'm just gonna add some highlights here into the eyes, a little into the lips. I'll check a before and after every time, and I think that is looking good. I'll zoom out and check what's happening here. I'm gonna add some highlight here on the chest, a little on the neck, a little on the hand, and a little on this gray dress because I wanna make it shine. Now let's just check a before and after. Yeah, I think it's looking good. Let's just hold Alt keyboard and click here on the layer mask, and here we have everything what we have done in the layer mask. So I'm just gonna smooth the lines. I'm just gonna go to filter, blur, and go to Gaussian blur, and I think that I will go by 12. Yeah, 12 is okay. Hold and click Alt keyboard and click again here on the layer mask, and we are back. Now it's time for the burn. So for the burn, I'm just gonna make some highlights here on the cheeks. I'm just gonna burn a little around the forehead, a little here on the eyebrows. I'm gonna add some shadows here on the nose, a little under the lips. Now zoom out and add some burn here and there where we need it. Now let's just check this folder. As I said, again, open the group of the burn and remove this because add more saturation, so we don't want this for the moment. And for the burn, I think it's looking good, but let's just enter into the layer mask again and add some blur into the layer mask. Now click again, and I think that is looking good. Let's just turn down this by 80%. Now check a before and after of this entire process, and I think it's looking really nice. So we are done with the frequency separation, dodge and burn. Now it's time for the eyes. Go to the eye plus all in, click play, and after all is done, open the group, click on the remove veins. This one is for blurring the white of the eyes and removing the veins. This action makes eyes look a little blurry, as you can see, but we don't want this by 100%, so I'm just gonna lower this by 45. And this one brightening is for the white of the eyes, so I'm just gonna make them even brighter. Don't forget to do this process in both of them, because if you do only in the one, it will look ridiculous. And as you can see, this brightness is too much, as you can see. So I'm just gonna reduce this into 22%, and I think it's looking good. Now go to eyeball lightning, and this one is for the eyeballs with a 100% brush. I'm just gonna paint it here by making them look even better. And 100% on this one is looking really nice, but I will reduce this just a little by 25%. Now let's just check a before and after, and yeah, I think they are looking really nice. I'm just gonna add some contour here on the eyes, so this action make them look really nice, as you can see. Let's just check entire process, and the contour I think is kind of too much. I'm just gonna lower this by 60, 64, something like that. And this one, iris color, is if you want to change the color of the eyes. For example, you have to paint it with a 100% here on the eyes. And after you are done with the painting, you have to double click here and you will change the color of the eyes. For example, you can leave them into green, something like that, into blue, into cyan. You can raise the saturation or the lightness, depends on the choices you want to make, but I will leave them as they are because I want them original, because this female looks really nice and this model is really beautiful, as you can see. So I'm just gonna check a before and after of this eye process, and I will reduce this by 85 because 100% is obviously too much. And I think we are done with the adjustments here in the eyes. So I'm just gonna make some changes here on the makeup artist retouching action. So I'm gonna add some smoky eyes and mascara, and I will leave this on top, and I will click here on the eyeshadows. This is for the color, so I'm just gonna work on the smoky eyes with a white brush and 100%. I'm painting here, as you can see, by making them even darker. Now let's just check a before and after. Let's just zoom out, and they are looking really nice with a 50%, but as you can see with 100% is obviously too much, but it's looking incredible. So I'm just gonna leave it by 50% and add some mascara with the 100%, and let's just paint it here on the black line of the eyes. Let's just check before and after. Yeah, this one is too much obviously, so I'm just gonna reduce this by 25 and check a before and after of the entire process. And here, as you can see, it's saying eyeshadows pick a color, so you have to pick a color. For example, you can choose a pink or a red color, depends on the changes you want to make into the portrait. For example, I'm just gonna go with this kind of pink, and with a white brush I'm just gonna paint it here. As you can see, this is for the makeup artist, and you can make these eyes look even better. Now let's just zoom out, and here you have the changes, and this one is obviously not looking that good, but I just demonstrated this what you can do with this action. So I'm just gonna create another one, and I will pick a color, something like brown, something like orange, and I think that choose this one because it's looking good. Now let's just check what we can do with this color, and I think it's looking good for this portrait because we don't want to make huge changes. Now let's just zoom out, and this one is looking nice, but I will add something more into red, something into orange, something like this. Now let's just try this color. This is more like a golden color, and I think it's looking good. Now let's just zoom out and check a before and after, and obviously this 100% is too much. I'm just gonna lower this by 45. Now check a before and after with this entire process, and I think it's looking good. Now we are done with the eyes and the eyeshadows. Now it's time for the lips. I'm just gonna go to the lips and cheeks, click play, and after we are done, as you can see, we have two different layers, and one of them is rosy lips. So I'm just gonna paint it with 100% brush here on the lips by making them look into a rosy color, and this one is looking really nice. Now zoom out and check a before and after. Now duplicate this rosy lips by drag and drop here and go from blending mode normal, go to soft light, and here you can see the changes what you can do in the soft light. And I will reduce this by 22% and this one into 25. Now go here on top and two different empty layers, or you can just go here to the lips dodge and burn, click play, and here you can have two different layers. One of them is pick lips color, which is dodge, and one of them is pick lips color, which is burn. So you have to pick the lip color, which is kind of pink, into red, and with a 10% brush you can just paint it here by creating some dodge for the lips, and this works only for the lips. So it's a dodge and burn with the lips color, and as you can see before and after, it's looking really nice. Now go to the burn. So for the burn I'm gonna go with a darker color of the lips, and I will start creating some shadows here around the lips by making these lips look even better. Now zoom out and check a before and after, and this one is looking good, only that in this part of the upper lip is not looking that good. So I'm just gonna make a layer mask, and with a black brush with 100% opacity I'm just gonna remove this, and here we are only in the down lips. As you can see, we have created some shadows. I'm just gonna reduce the opacity of this one and check a before and after, and yeah, I think it's looking really nice. So we are done with the lips. Now you can just check a before and after this entire process. Now it's time to add some rosy cheeks. So with a 50% brush and with a white brush I'm just gonna paint it here by making these cheeks into something rosy color, and this one is looking nice, but I'm just gonna enter the layer mask here by holding Alt keyboard and clicking here on the layer mask, and I will create a better shape. So if I wanna change the shape of this layer mask, for example here we have the cheek, I'm gonna use a mixer brush and 100% of the wet, and I'm gonna slide it here. As you can see, I will change the shape of this part by making this look even better, and this is kind of into the thick, and here we have. Now for entering out you have to click Alt keyboard and click here on the layer mask, and here you have a better shape of this one, and you can see with 100% what we've done so far. So I'm just gonna reduce this by 45%, and I think it's looking really nice. Now check a before and after this entire process, and I think it's looking amazing so far. So I'm just gonna make this into one group by duplicating the background and click and hold Shift keyboard, click here and make this a group, rename the group Retouch, and duplicate Retouch group. After you have done that, merge the group into one layer, so you can have only one layer of this retouching. And here you have the finish and export actions. So I'm just gonna add some sharpen, basic contrast, and some face contour. Click play. Oh, sorry, we have made some bad changes, I think. And click here on basic contrast and face contour. As you can see, you have two different layers. One of them is basic contrast, which is kind of too much. I'm just gonna lower this by 22, and we have the contour, and this one is really great for makeup artists. As you can see, you have some great details into the contour, but I will double click here and I make some changes on the highlights because this portrait is kind of too much highlighted. And here we have a before and after. I'm just going to reduce this by 50%. Click OK. And for the part of the sharpen, you have to be having only one layer, which is the background. So I'm just gonna click Ctrl and A by copying this entire window. So I'm just gonna go by new, and I think we have done something bad. Click again the Ctrl, click on A by making an entire selection, click Ctrl and C by copying, go to File, New, and create another window, and Ctrl V by pasting. And here you have two different layers, so you have to merge them into one. And click here on the sharpen, because obviously the sharpen works only when we have the single layer, which is a background. Here you can have, and you have to drag and drop this file into the previous window that we have. And as you can see, the sharpen is in a darker mask, so it's not turned on. So I'm just gonna click Ctrl and I by making this entire mask into white, and here you have the sharpen, and this is obviously too much, so I'm just gonna lower this by 45%. Check a before and after of this entire process, and I think it's looking really nice. So I'm just gonna merge these layers again by drag and drop this retouch copy, clicking click and hold Shift keyboard, click here again, and merge these layers into one. And as you can see, a before and after of this entire process. Here we have the details and everything else. As you can see, we have some great details, some great texture here in this portrait, and this is the main reason when we are retouching. So now it's time for a color grade, and for color grade we have to drag and drop this file, which is a sharpen, and into this another window. So I'm just gonna merge this one because for color grading, again, you have to be only in one single layer, which is the background, because the color grade will not work good. So I'm just gonna go to the color grade white skin and click on all of them until I find the best color grade for this portrait. And I will stick with a CG-A3. As you can see, I'm just gonna drag and drop this into the original window. As you can see that we have the color grading files. I'm just gonna open this group and check them one by one until I decide the final, because you have to check all the layers one by one until you have the best color grade. For example, this adjustment was too much, so I'm just gonna reduce them one by one until we have some great results. And this one is too much. Again, this one again too much. And this color balance you can raise up into 100, and as you can see the changes, but I think that 45 is gonna be okay. And I'm gonna add some more adjustments here. So I'm just gonna turn off this for a moment, go to selective color and go to the blacks. I'm just gonna bring up the blacks by making this portrait darker, because that's what I want, but not this much. I'm just gonna lower this by 35% and go again to the color balance and go to the shadows. I want shadows into the blue, something like this, but this is obviously too much, so I'm just gonna leave it by 12%. Now click again to the color balance, go to the highlights, and I want highlights into yellow, into red, something like this. And from blending mode, which is normal, go to soft light, and from 100% opacity go to 12, something like this, and put this on top. Now turn on the color grade as you can see, and go again here to selective color, click on the yellows because we want to make some changes here, and I think this one is looking good, but not that much, so lower this by 22% and click Shift keyboard and click here and make this a group and rename this color grade, and double drag and drop here by creating another group. So I'm just going to merge the group again. As you can see, you have the color grade, and I think that we are done with color grading. Let's just check a before and after of this entire process. This is the before, this is after retouch, and this is after color grading. Let's just zoom in and check a before and after of this entire process. Here we have the before, after retouch, and retouch with color grade. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. Please leave some comments down below about my retouching if I am good enough for you. Let me know about my English if I am understandable or not. Drop some likes for the algorithm. Please don't forget to check all the links down below in the description because you can find my actions there. You can find the raw file, and don't forget to follow me in social media because I post everything I do about retouching there. And see you guys in the next one. Peace.